All right, everybody, this is Angela. She'll be talking about building apps with Draftbit.
Hi, everyone. In case you didn't know, I'm Angela, and I build apps at Draftbit. So a little bit about me. I actually went to school for public affairs and nonprofit management, and then 2 years ago, I moved to DC to get a master's in public policy. And after a semester of that, I was like, this is kind of whack. I don't want to run cost-benefit analyses for the rest of my life, and I don't want to wear a pantsuit every day. So like, I'm out. And like, I was like, I can't. So I decided to take up web development. Like, I grew up on the internet. I like made some like pretty sick MySpace themes and like some Tumblr themes. So I was like, I'm like kind of good at this. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, I'll try it out. So I did a boot camp, and then after that, I got a job at an internship that was supposed to be a job at a digital marketing agency in DC. A lot of like work with think tanks and things like that. And then after a few months there, I was like, this is still kind of whack. Like, I don't want to work in politics at all. So, and I was like, and I don't want to live in DC. So I moved to Chicago to come work for Draftbit. So I moved here in March, and now I'm here living my best life, building mobile apps in Draftbit every day. So yeah. So for those of you who are not familiar, Draftbit allows you to visually build native mobile apps. So basically, everything you do in Draftbit is in your browser. You don't need to write a single line of code while you're in the browser. Everything you just like click to add components, and so I'll show you guys everything, of course. So since they're native apps, Draftbit utilizes React Native. I'm guessing most of you, all of you are like familiar with React Native, but in case you're not, React Native is cool because it saves time and money. It's like fast to build with. Since it's less specialized, more people know JavaScript, so it's pretty easy to jump in pretty quickly. And also, there's access to a large variety of resources, and there's a big community, so it's easy to get help. So before coming to Draftbit, I only worked in React. I never built an app before. But even when I was interviewing and testing out the product, I found it like pretty fast to like get something going. And even like thinking back to then, like that was in February when I was interviewing, the product has improved so much. Like, it's crazy looking back and like just like thinking about the experience I had in the builder before and like looking at what the product is now, and also thinking about like all the other cool things we have planned for Draftbit. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. So this is what you see when you open up the builder for the first time. In the middle, the blank screen is obviously representative of the phone screen. At one point, well, right now there's a web preview now, so it's really cool. So when you add components to the screen, most of them like appear as they would on your phone. Back when I started, that wasn't a thing, and so it was just kind of like gray boxes, and it was kind of hard to like tell what you're actually doing. So that's like a really cool feature. And then on the right is the config panel. I'll go more into all that later too. So yeah, just configuration. Each component has like different things you can configure, like for text components, like what you want the text to say, like the font, the color. Images, you can select your image source up there. The layout panel, layout and alignment just has to do with like flex, like justify content, align items, things like that. And then at the top, you see navigation, which we'll get into, live preview, publish, viewing code, and help. And then on the left is where like pretty much everything happens. So the add button will open this component drawer. And we have everything separated into bits and blocks. And so bits are like lower level elements where basically blocks are just bits put together for you already, like prefabbed components. So yeah, there's a ton of bits and blocks in there. So here's just like a quick, really quick demonstration of just like putting just like a view and some text and an image together in the builder. So everything is just click to add, and it's super fast. I realize I'm a power user since I like do this every day, so I might be moving a little bit too fast in the demo, but yeah. And there you go. Just like a little quick rundown of what you can do in there. Well, Oh my God, what did I do? Oh my God, wait. Oh wait, oh no. Oh wait, no, that was right, sorry. I forgot I deleted a slide, I'm like out of it today. Yeah, as Peter said, I was at a crazy concert last night, and like, I woke up this morning, like bruised, I was in a mosh pit, and like, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it today, so I'm like still like, but I'm here. So when I first started at Draftbit, one of the first things I did was build like an app, kind of. It was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Unsplash. It's a photo sharing app. Well, it's like a site, and they have an app. So basically, I replicated that in Draftbit, and this is what I built before. And like, it looks great and everything, but like comparing to like what I built like last week for this to this, like all the navigation and stuff in here, I had to code by hand after I exported out of Draftbit, pulling the data in, like all the photos and images. Like I prototyped it in Draftbit, like I drag and dropped like I showed you before, but hooking everything up I had to do in code. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad experience at the time, but like thinking about like how much easier it is now, it's really cool. So I'm just really excited about building mobile apps, you guys. I can't help it. So one of the new features that we rolled out just a few days ago was REST data. So you can bring like an API endpoint into the platform and hook it up really easily. Actually, I should probably explain the app I built now that I think about it. So basically for this, I built an app. Me and my friends, we live all across the country, so we never see each other. But we have this thing at the end of the year where we put together our list of like our favorite albums and songs, and like we send it to each other. And like thinking back on it, I don't know why we do this, because we all hate each other's taste in music. And like I know my taste in music is better than all of theirs, so it doesn't really matter. But we do it, so it's like just something we do. So that's what I'm building with Draftbit for this presentation. So anyway, back to it. REST data, you can bring an API endpoint and plug it in. It's like super fast. Currently, we just released it a few days ago, so currently you can only make GET requests, but we're obviously going to build that feature out. So basically, yeah, here's a quick demo. This is just using JSON from JSON placeholder. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh my God, sorry. I'll explain this a little bit too. So basically I add the fetch component, and that's where you build the query, and then you add a list inside of the fetch component. And then inside the list you add the view of what you want to display for each entry in the database. So this JSON placeholder link that I was using is like a list of like dummy users, and there's 10 entries. And so once you hook it up, you see that 10 lines of text appear, one line automatically generated for each entry. And then you can configure what field you want the text to display. So like I change it from like the name to the username, and then I think I do one more, yeah, and the email. And so it's like really cool, like all of that just like happens automatically. Like you just like saw how fast it is, which is like awesome. Ooh, sorry. But for my app, why does it keep doing that? Oh my God. It like keeps going out of presentation mode. Okay, it's fine. So for my app, I use Airtable. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Airtable. It's like a really great way to just, it's like kind of like a spreadsheet, but we use it as a database a lot at Draftbit. So basically what I did in the top, I made a list of like album names, the artist, the month it was released, because I filter it out, I'll show you in a bit, and then just like an image, a link to the image, the album cover image. And then the cool thing about Airtable is they have an API like built out for you. So when you go into your base, it gives you all the info you need. So as you can see, like it gives you the URL endpoint for your base. And then you can generate the API key. I obviously didn't show it on here, but it's in the code, of course. And so I did that, and then I brought that back into Draftbit. I'm not sure if you can tell. So basically, in the fetch query, in the fetch component, in my query, I'm basically generating an image of the album cover, and that's wrapped in a touchable, which will make more sense in a little bit. And also in my GET request, I'm filtering the albums out by release date, so everything's like organized nicely. It's really cool. You can do a ton of filtering in Airtable. It's like all built in, so it's really nice. And so here I'm just testing the results and seeing only one album pulled through for January. And like once all that looks good, the album appears. One of our other cool features is custom blocks. So basically, if you're reusing something in your app a lot, you can just save the whole block, I guess. You can save the block and reuse it for later. Before, you can only duplicate things on a screen, which was still helpful, but you couldn't duplicate it across screens in the app. So the custom blocks functionality allows you to do that, which is so nice. Like I said 20 million times before, I build apps like all day at Draftbit. And so a lot of them get repetitive, so it just made my life a lot easier having this feature. So then moving on, and then going back, just showing how the custom blocks you save appear in the blocks tab. And you can just like add as many as you want in your app. And I added, well, I think I only went up to September in this, so I just added a few more. And then this is live preview. At one point, we said to like bring it up in the builder, like when you would set up a new app, the live preview would come up. For me personally, it was kind of weird going into live preview, having nothing on the phone screen, because I was like, oh, is it working or not? But so normally once I put like a few things on the screen, I'll like boot the live preview up. So live preview is something with Expo. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with Expo, but if not, basically it allows you to scan a QR code. It's for iOS and Android, and you can just interact with an app on your phone. It like handles all the work for you, and it's like easy to set up on your phone. Of course, it's just an app, and then you could just set it up in the command line. Once you're done building in Draftbit, you're going to need to have it on the command line to interact with it the way you do in the builder. So yeah, and you boot up live preview, and then the next thing I normally do, we have like a lot of theme options. And so you can basically, you can see in the GIF that like I changed a ton of the colors around. You can create a theme name. There are already a few in Draftbit to get started with using in case you don't have a theme in mind or just don't feel like making one at all, which is totally fine. And then also you can bring in your own fonts, which is in the image. So I just put a few in there. Some other theme options are figuring out spacing in containers, elevation, which is kind of like a drop shadow effect, and also, I think that's everything. And so this is the detail screen I built for each album. So I just like drag and drop, like, I think, yeah, this is all just like with bits. I just drag and dropped everything over, and this is just like what each page will look like for each album in the database that I built in Airtable. So one thing to take note of, we have actions, and the actions we have are with navigation and linking. So one of the things I did for this app, I basically connected all the, I wrapped the names of the titles in a touchable, and you can hook a touchable up to any of the actions. And so basically in this instance, it'll open the track in Spotify. So if there's also like linking you can use for like Google Maps if you have like the proper schema. You can link to like an email service. You can link to text messages, phone numbers, like everything like that. So I just happen to use Spotify for this. And then I'll show you at the end how it all looks together. And then the other big action is navigation. This one is a big lifesaver because I hate coding navigation. So for this, I just did two screens really quick, just like the list page from before and then the detailed page. So in Draftbit, there's access to switch, stack, and tab navigators. And then also, And so basically, as I said before, each album is wrapped in a touchable. So I hooked up each touchable to like the album detail page and all you do is select the action on the right in the config panel, and then you just click whichever screen that's in your navigator that you want to navigate to. So it's like super simple, way easier than doing everything by hand. So going back to the navigator, there's a ton of styling options provided for you. You can style like the header text color, the color of the header itself. If you want an icon instead of like the default back button, you can add a right icon as well. And there's like also some options with how they move across the page depending on the type of navigator you're using. And there's not a tab navigator in this app, but some of the customization options are like labeling the tabs at the bottom and like if you want an icon and things like that. Yeah, and then in addition, you can also, something we just recently added is that you can override the options for the whole navigator, and you can switch up the navigation options for just like one screen at a time, which is really cool. So there's that. And then once you are done with everything, you can publish it on the web, which is super cool. That's like also kind of a recent feature maybe, or maybe was it earlier this summer? I don't remember, but I think it's really cool. So once you're done, you can publish, or at any point in the process of building the app, you can publish your app to a link, and that link is like personal to that app only, and you can share it with people for feedback. And then if you make more changes in the app, you just go back and publish it again, and then like everything appears at that link. And then you can also view it in iOS and Android view. And then also the QR codes there as well if you just want to load it up on the Expo app. So that's really nice. And then once you're done, you can, oh, I feel like I switched these slides around. All right, never mind. Once you're done, you can export it and then export your project. And all you have to do for that is hit the view code button at the top, and then a modal will appear, and you just export the project, and it'll download a zip file to your computer. And then all you do is unzip it, and then yarn install and Expo start, or you can use npm install. I just use yarn. And then in your terminal, the QR code will appear for Expo again, and then it'll also appear in your browser as well. And then you just scan that, and you can just use it as you did in live preview as well. So yeah, so this is what I built. So this is like after Expo and everything. Yeah, and then it should go to the Spotify part. Yeah, so it does that. So yeah, it was super fun. So basically all that really only took like, I'm trying to think how long it took me. Just like a couple of hours. Honestly, the thing that took me the longest was putting together the Airtable. Like once you get a good flow going in the platform, then it's like there have been times where working on client apps, I'll build like 30 screens or something in a day. And like, I just can't imagine doing that by hand at this point. Like, I guess I've never coded a mobile app by hand. Like, I don't even know how long that would take to do 30 screens at a time. But I guess as I said, I am a power user, so I move a lot faster than most people do. But once you get a lot of practice with it, you can pretty much like go crazy and draft it, which is super fun. But yeah, I think that's it.